today's meeting of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee for Oakland County. I'm calling this meeting to order at 9:39 a.m. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioners Joliet?
Here.
Jackson? Lubes?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
Hoffman?
Present.
Spiz?
Here.
McGilvray is absent with notice. Johnson?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Awesome sauce. Commissioners, please rise and join. Commissioner Nelson, would you kindly lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Moved by Commissioner Lube, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Please note that the minutes have been approved. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda has been approved. Moving into public comment number 1. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on matters related to the agenda, please step forward. No, no one today? We've got some juicy stuff. All right, well, closing that out, we will open communications. This is just a, motion to receive and file. Commissioner Lube, second by Commissioner Joliet. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Sweet. Moving into the regular, we're just doing a very efficient meeting today. Moving into the regular agenda, item A, implementing the Salary Administration Plan third quarterly report for fiscal year 2023. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning.
In front of you is the Human Resources Department third quarterly report for fiscal year 2023, covering salary grade studies that were completed between April and the end of June. And on this report, we have a retitle of one classification with no change in salary grade that's impacting one position within the Water Resources Commissioner. A retitle and change to salary grade of one classification within the Board of Commissioners. The change of salary grade of one classification impacting one position within Circuit Court, and then a change to salary grade in one classification that impacts 3 full-time positions within Children's Village. And I'm open to any questions you have.
Commissioner Lubes.
What's changing in the Board of Commissioners?
So there was a change in the point factors, which increase the classification up 2 grades. And it's the Operations Analyst Board of Commissioners. The title change is just changing that. It's currently Operations Analyst Board of Commissioners. We're changing it to Board of Commissioners Operations Analyst to be a standard titling across the department.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's Commissioner Smith.
I have a generic question. Historically, I guess this quarter seemed low based on the number of adjustments. Do we see a general ebb and flow over time, or is it hit or miss based on quarter by quarter?
It's hit or miss. There have been some years where I've gone 2 quarters without any requests or completed studies.
That was gonna be my other question, so thank you for answering that.
Yep.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. Just for clarification, were these positions a part of the comp study?
Yes, I would think if all of them were, yes. So now the compensation study, if a job analysis questionnaire was not submitted to the vendor at that point, they kind of slotted them in where they could, and we have seen some changes since then. You know, positions coming forward and requesting a review, or jobs have changed.
Thank you.
Anything else? The motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Clerk, would you please prompt that vote? just as an FYI for folks, we are having technical difficulties, so we won't be able to look at it. So if it's not unanimous, I guess we'll bully someone, but.
I might have to test the system.
Mr. Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. Moving on to item B, Parks and Recreation. And Parks, you can just park yourselves at the end of the table, but I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item B, Parks and Recreation Partnership Agreement with the City of Oak Park for the management of Shepherd Park. Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Nelson. Hi, folks.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I don't know if this is the juicy stuff or that was Human Resources had the juicy stuff. We'll do our best.
We're spending a lot more money.
Okay, all right. Well, this item and the following, I think, 3 items all relate to implementation of the Healthy Communities plan that you all approved last October, appropriating a healthy chunk of American Rescue Plan dollars and focused on disproportionately impacted communities in Oakland County. This particular agreement relates to a long-term agreement that we have reached with the City of Oak Park that will allow us to enter into a long-term agreement for the joint management of 17.01 acres of Shepherd Park, which is the largest park in the City of Oak Park. It'll provide us as Oakland County Parks with our first opportunity to really have a facility, have a park, a park available for Oakland County residents in that farthest southeast corner of Oakland County. Is a really beautiful wooded area there that's the largest wooded area east of Coolidge and south, I think, of 14 Mile. And we're excited about this opportunity and really the great partnership, I keep saying the word, but partnership that the City of Oak Park has offered to us here. And it's going to be unique in that we're going to jointly manage and operate the facility. It's going to save both of us money. It'd be more efficient and effective over the long term. And so the city will be providing like daily and weekly type duties of mowing, trash removal, cleaning of the facilities, law enforcement, and rental of the facilities. And we'll be more focused on capital improvements, planning, natural resources management, nature education, special programs, and maintenance of the trailways. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I want to introduce the folks here with me today. Eric Tungate is the manager of the City of Oak Park. Crystal Van Vleck, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't want to murder your last name there. Assistant City Manager?
Deputy City.
Deputy City Manager, okay. And you all know Melissa. She's the one who gets all the work done at Parks.
And you get the credit.
Exactly. You know how it works.
Commissioner Spiz, I saw your hand.
I just have a general question, maybe you can help me understand it, because I appreciate and support, working together as a team, because you get a lot more efficiencies that way. What I'm truly trying to understand is from the finance perspective, because I believe if I read correctly, Oak Park's gonna be keeping some of the dollars that they charge for certain rental fees, this fee, that fee.
Right.
And then we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna give them
How's it all fit
$50,000. How does that all fit together? That's where I'm kind of gray.
So we came together and we worked out kind of an estimated budget of what it would cost to operate the park for those weekly and daily services. And it worked out to roughly, I think, about $130,000. That's correct. So we discounted from that amount the anticipated revenue from the pavilions, which is really the only rental income that we generated in this area. So we calculated that and then just came up with a flat fee of $50,000. And then that is indexed to inflation to, adjust.
When you say inflation, is that the CPI index we're using for that, or what are we using for that?
What did we use?
For that index?
So we're gonna,
That's what I was trying to find here, I can't find it.
we're gonna use the index that the state treasury
Yeah,
gives
thank you.
us.
Right.
Okay.
It's the one I think they use to calculate the taxes.
Taxable value is
Taxable
determined
value,
based on
yeah.
it.
Got it.
So it's 5% or whatever is less, if the CPI is less than 5%.
Other questions? Yes.
Thank you. So I appreciate partnering with other communities and making contracts such as these. I was reading through this and it's a 20-year contract with an option for renewal. Are there any checks and balances within the contract for either party to make sure that they're carrying through on their end of the deal?
There are clauses that are outlined in the agreement for breach of the
Okay.
agreement. I believe there's also a clause that we can exit the agreement even without cause, but with a longer period of time.
Okay.
Can I also just add one to that? So the other one is the capital improvements, depreciable asset portion from the county invested. If we exit the agreement prior to the full depreciation of those assets, we have to pay the depreciated value back
Perfect.
for whatever's left.
All right. All right, thank
We
you.
want this to last.
Right, well, obviously, everybody goes into these with the best intention. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
everybody's
I
covered.
had two
so-
marriages like that with the
Right.
Bob and I
Right.
are tied on that one.
He's not listening.
Any other questions?
He's in the zone.
Okay,
Commissioner Williams?
He's reading.
This is a park we toured last year,
yes.
correct?
Yeah.
It was a very nice park and happy to collaborate.
Yeah.
Can I also just make a statement?
Yes.
I just, I think, should this pass today, of course, and go to the full commission, I just wanted to express our utmost appreciation. As Chris mentioned, down in that area of the county, you really do feel like there's just this huge lack of overall investment from not just Oakland County, but from the state of Michigan and others. And so this really, in my opinion, rights a lot of wrongs and sort of gets us on the right trajectory. And for us, Shepherd Park is the center of our universe. It's literally the center of our city. And we're in the process right now of hopefully building a brand new community center and doing an event hub and some other just enormous projects that we hope will really set our community on the right footing for quite a long period of time. So this catapults us. And Shepherd Park is really well used. It won't go unnoticed. So I want to just express our appreciation for all of the support that County Chris and staff, of course, and all the rest of the county has given us in the last few years.
I appreciate that. And actually, yeah, the very next item on our agenda is another piece of the Shepherd Park project with the farmers market. So that is exciting. Any other questions? I have a few, but okay. I want to give deference to everyone else first. I'm a map guy. I love maps, and I'm just curious why only a portion of the park. I was not here last year. I did not go on the tour, but I am keenly aware based on the map that it is about a third of the municipal owned space. Notably does not include what I think is the train.
This is correct. We've had a lot of discussion about the train.
I've heard.
Yeah.
So why only that portion of the park?
Well, I can answer for Oakland County Parks. The area that we focused on here, it can focus on what we do best, which is nature and more of a passive recreation area. The other areas of the park, which also include, I believe, the pool, the ice rink, and community center, the athletic fields. Those are areas really kind of more in the niche of local recreation than they are for what we do. So that's why we kind of zeroed in on this area. The plans changed somewhat from our beginning discussions. The city has gone through the creation of their recreation master plan, and they have a new vision for some of the area that's not included in the boundaries of what we've designated here. So that's I think the best answer I could give you. The train itself is beloved by the community. It's has some age conditions and that we were a little concerned about. So the city's gonna maintain the train, which is a bit iconic. I don't know if you want to address the plans for the rest of the park.
Well, I just wanted to mirror some of the things you just said, Chris, and I think there's a couple things. One is the area, the train obviously, as was mentioned, is a huge part of that. The other thing is the area that we're talking about here that's not going to be part of the county's investment is the area that we're targeting for potential capital improvements of our own. And this is through a millage request. So we wanted to keep those outside of that. Obviously, if we're gonna bond against, debt service and so forth, we wanted to keep that separate. Also, as far as programming, most of our programming occurs in the area that we're not sharing, direct programming that is. So the area that we're talking about appropriating, as Chris mentioned, there's a international forest. This forested area was planted years ago, intentionally planted to be representative of all of the trees and foliage and things in Michigan. There's also a trail system inside of that portion of the park that I think really closer resembles what Oakland County Parks wants to really, push to the rest of the park system. So it just really fit, and again, this is the area that would have received the least amount of capital investment from us, just because we're targeting facilities with our stuff.
I guess, and not to push back against that tremendously, but Chris, specifically for parks, I'm curious, I appreciate that we are best at nature intensive recreation rather than athletic recreation. But we also operate 2 water parks that are 100% physical athletic recreation. So I guess I'm just curious, why in this case, why not tennis courts? Why not a pool and 2 baseball fields? Strictly revenue wise, I guess I'm wondering what the difference is. Unless you're getting rid of the courts and redeveloping them.
Yeah, so if I could, where the tennis courts, I think you all have a copy of this map, maybe not, but the tennis court area is specifically where we're going to invest capital asset dollars for our new community center.
Oh, okay.
So that just wouldn't be possible. So we're literally just ripping those up.
Okay, all right, well, that answered that. My last question is just a metric one. Is this going to be our smallest park?
It would be, I believe, yes, because Catalpa Oaks is about 21 acres. 24 acres, yeah. But, it takes a creative approach like this to really allow us to be able to have a facility in this part of the county where there's not land available anymore, so.
Anything else, folks? Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Clerk, would you please prompt that vote?
Yeah, 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. I passed. Moving on to item C now, and everyone can stay up there. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item C, Parks and Recreation Grant Agreement with the City of Oak Park for the Farmers Market Project. Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Loops. Aye again.
Just to tee this up and then I'll turn it over to Eric. Another part of the ARPA plan, the Healthy Communities Plan, were several grants directly to local governments for their local park improvement needs. And one of those grants was allocated and designated for the City of Oak Park. They have requested and filled out an application that's included in your packet here, that those funds be utilized for their farmers market project in the amount of $500,000, which would be payable, it's 50% upfront and then 50% on the completion of the project. And then I'll turn it over to Eric and Crystal to explain what the project does and where it's located, et cetera.
So just briefly, so we talked a little bit about some of the capital improvements we're talking about making in terms of facilities and things in the Shepherd Park area. This area that we're talking about now is what we're calling our event hub area. And this is an area, if you're familiar with Oak Park's community center, government services area, is a grassy area between our library and our new city hall. And we are planning to program it with a amphitheater, which we don't have. We have to borrow the county's stage for most of our events. And a farmer's market. And farmer's market we're looking at doing it's gonna be year-round, and it's gonna take up a portion of that property. So for us, again, this is just, should this go forward, of course, this is just such an awesome cooperative project, and we're very excited about it. It's really gonna be transformational for our city and help build our campus out.
Questions? Yes, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. You answered part of my question. You say it's gonna be used year round. Is it gonna be a farmer's market only year round, or is there gonna be other things in there year round?
It's gonna have the ability to host events, and there's gonna be a commercial kitchen as well. So yeah, it'll be farmer's market some portion of the year, obviously, and then of course, we'll be able to use it for events and a commercial kitchen and programming, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because the reason I asked that question is there's a lot of communities building, putting in place farmers markets. I mean, you're gonna get to the point where you're not gonna have enough farmers or people willing to come to all those markets. Every community in Oakland County does this, right? And it will hurt our own farmers market if every community decides to do that. So that's kind of why I started asking that question, because what you're doing is great, but a lot of other communities are doing the same thing, so it's.
Well, I think in Oak Park, our connection is really probably more to Eastern Market than up here, but
Yeah,
it's, having the ability to have indoor events with a commercial kitchen is, and we're gonna have the ability to do kosher events, which is huge for us, obviously.
Agree.
And the city has a farmer's market currently that operates at a high school
Yeah,
parking lot,
high school
so
parking
it's a
lot.
pretty well established market, it just
So it's just gonna move
doesn't really have a
locations?
home,
Doesn't have a
correct?
home right now.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner.
Not specifically for Oak Park, but I'm happy to hear the embellishments you're making. It is a great opportunity. So for Parks and Rec, would other farmers market have a similar opportunity?
Well, we have funded, I believe, at least one farmer's market through our capital grant program, which is, I think, the last item on your agenda here today. So we do have other opportunities. This was all kind of carefully put together for this ARPA plan with the pieces that kind of balance each other out so that it all came together. So not in this particular funding stream, but we do have an ongoing funding stream that communities can apply for.
Yeah, thank you.
I spent a lot of my childhood in downtown Rochester at our farmers market. Some of my best memories are at that farmers market, and I still try to go every single week if I can. So congratulations on that. And I'm all for getting rid of service lots that are unused and underdeveloped and full of just Kentucky bluegrass and all that stuff. So that's great. There's a motion on the table to recommend to the board. Would you please prompt that vote?
Thank you.
You guys don't wanna stick around for the rest of it?
6 yeas, 0 nays, that vote passes. Thank you very much.
Kind of got an easy agenda today.
We might fill it out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Have a good day. Have a good day. Take care.
thank you.
Moving on to item D, I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, grant agreement amendment with the city of Pontiac for the Crystal Lake revitalization project. Moved by Commissioner Nelson, second by Commissioner Hoffman. Hello.
All right, thanks again. So this item is a bit of a cleanup issue, really. You have already approved this grant with the city of Pontiac for the Crystal Lake project in the amount of $500,000. Guidehouse, in reviewing the agreement language, has recommended a change to the Exhibit B portion of the agreement, which is really kind of technical language, but it has to do with the category that the county is utilizing to expend this portion of ARPA money. So it's the revenue replacement provisions of the ARPA guidelines, which are a little less onerous in terms of implementation and compliance. So that's simply what this is just some cleanup language that we need to add per Guidehouse.
Questions? No, the motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Clerk, would you please prompt that vote?
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. That motion passes. Moving on to item E, I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item E entitled Grant Agreement with the City of Hazel Park for the Community Center Renovation Project. Moved by Commissioner Loops, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. Thank you very much.
Thanks again. So one other piece of the implementation of the ARPA plan is $300,000 that was allocated for the Hazel Park Community Center project. They're doing significant renovations to the building there. It doubles as a community center and a senior center. As part of the arrangement, it will provide us an opportunity at no cost to Oakland County to reopen our Oakland County South office. That we used to have one at the South Health Building adjacent to Catalpa Oaks. During the COVID pandemic, the health department needed to reclaim that space for obviously other priorities. So this will give us a chance in what is currently the art room of the building to establish some office space there that we will utilize on an as-needed basis and improve our service delivery to the southeast corner of the county. So the grant is the amount of $300,000, and again, it's 50% upfront, 50% on the completion, and with the approval of this, hopefully, we will be down to just 2 more agreements with the city of Southfield, and we'll be able to focus fully on implementation and building great recreation facilities.
Questions? I just have, what specifically happens in a Oakland County Parks South Recreation office?
So we haven't had one since I've been the director. I'm gonna lean on Melissa here.
So we do have, we're focused a lot of our activity in those portions of the county. So we've had, it's typically our recreation staff, the staff that's kind of out on the ground doing a lot of our programming will work out of the South office. Our therapeutic recreation specialist worked out of that office because those were the communities she was working the most with. It also provides just an opportunity if someone wants to come in and buy an annual pass or, talk to someone in person about things going on at the parks, just to have that presence there where people could come in and make those basic transactions, but that we can also program out of.
Sure. Cool. Anything else, commissioners?
Thanks for that question. How many staff do you expect to have there?
We have one that we've kind of.
Yeah, one of our new associate planners who's focusing on a lot of these ARPA projects and lives down that way. We would likely station him out of there several days a week. And then again, I think our RPS recreation program staff and our therapeutic recreation would probably, we'll probably set it up with some jump seats that people who aren't there every day can kind of come in and out and work as they need to.
Okay, thank you. Follow-up, do we have other directional offices? No, just, okay, cool. Anything else? Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Clerk, would you please prompt my vote?
68, 0
Thank you very much. That motion passes. I would now entertain a motion to recommend to the board our final item on the regular agenda today, Parks and Recreation 2023 Parks and Recreation Community Park and Trail Capital Grant Program. Moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman.
Thanks again. I'm going to turn this over to Melissa in a second. This Park and Trail Capital Grant Program is the second year that we've offered this grant opportunity to local communities. It was part of the commitments that we made with the adoption of an increased millage in 2020. And it's a method that we have to support the capital needs of local communities with, park improvement projects, trail projects. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
Yep. So last year, you may remember, we awarded about $1.2 million in grants because we didn't actually award any in 21. So that was kind of 2 years built on top of each other of funding. So that's why the number this year is the $650,000, which is more in line with kind of what we've been planning for. That being said, for that $650,000, we had 30 grant applications for just under $2 million. Obviously much more than we can fund in a given year. But we do have a scoring process, and we look at, a number of factors when we go through that scoring, and it's done by our planning supervisor, one of our associate planners, and then our DEI and community engagement officer go through and kind of do the scoring as a team, and then they bring it to our coordinated management team and we go through the projects, and then they go to the commission and then they come here to you. But we are looking at recommending 11 grants at just over $600,000. You can see from the list that's in your packet, it's a really good, first of all, every project on the list is a good project. Some just end up scoring a little bit higher on our criteria than others. So you can see the cutoff there at $608,000. It's a good mix of planning and development projects, trail projects, some connectivity projects, and then, you know, park improvements and park renovations, playground projects. So it's a really nice mix of the different types of things that we want to fund, and it's also spread pretty diversely across the county. So while we wish we could have funded all of these projects, we feel like this is a good mix for this year.
Any questions? Commissioner Spitz?
No one column labeled D and P, what's the difference? What do they stand for, D and P?
Oh yeah, we did not label that for you, did we? That's whether or not it's a development or a planning project. So we fund design engineering and planning activities, but we also development. So that just helps us know which is which.
Yes.
Follow up question, scoring. How do you score? I mean, I saw we get up to 110, 115 points.
Yep.
What is included in that? You probably showed it to us in the past, so I don't remember.
Well, I can sort of run through, this is all of the grantees for this year, all the applicants for this year. But the things that we have it broken into a couple different sections. And a lot of it is, you know, the completeness of what they submitted, if they're fully answering the question, how much detail they provide. But we look at, you know, the physical location, the project design, whether or not they gave us like the relevant history and background information. Community need, which ties directly in with our countywide Parks and Recreation community needs assessment, so whether or not their project hits on those areas, which they all typically do. We look at alignment with our core values, DEI, sustainability and natural resources, health and wellness. We look to see if they've done proper public engagement, what their plan is for long-term maintenance, what they can tell us about either their ADA compliance or universal accessibility. And then essentially access, you know, whether or not there's an entrance fee, how easy it is for people to get to, can they get there on a bike or walking, or do they have to drive a car? So we have points for all of those things, and then some points for the attachments that they submit to make sure they meet our needs so we can make a good decision.
All right, so based on that criteria, you had a team that goes through it and kind of picks a number like 1 to 5 for each category, is that how it works?
Yes, yeah, so what we did this year is we had 4 staff, our planning supervisor, our 2 associate planners, and our DEI and community engagement officer kind of individually score, and then come together and talk through all of them to, you know, make sure nobody missed something or everything is lining up. And then that comes to the management team for review.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of a tangential question to that, because I was just thinking, I totally understand all the criteria. One that intrigued me was additional points given to communities with median or lower income. I'm wondering how you work that in, specifically with trails, if there's a like pass-through effect. So a project might specifically be in an area of high income, but it would be a pass-through community on that trail network.
Right, if there's multiple partners in the trail project.
Right.
I think that they ran that as an average of those communities. If it's a multi-community project, I'm pretty sure that's how they did that, but I can confirm that for you.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, so speaking of trails, I'm excited to see that not only are we funding insular projects within our communities, but also we're still continuing our work on the Iron Belt Trail that the state of Michigan set out to do probably a decade ago at this point, and we're still probably a decade away from full realization, but it's exciting every time that I get to bike or run on any portion of the Iron Belt Trail.
Yeah, that Gallagher Trail gap has been a point of focus for the county planning team, and for, you know, trail development within the county for years, so we're excited to be able to help with that.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments?
I do have one more question. Since you didn't allocate the entire 650,000, or was 41 something left, is the plan for next year to add that to the total for next year?
Yeah, it just rolls back
So if
into
it's 650, it'll be 691. Something like that?
That's what we would propose to the Parks Commission, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So when was this, when did this open up? Does this open up in like spring?
I wanna say it was April 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys have kind of yearly done?
Yeah, we shifted it a little bit this year because we made a few refinements to the process, to the guidelines, but yeah, typically a spring, which kind of follows along the same with all the state grants, so it's helpful to grantees to kind of line those all up so they follow the same calendar.
All right, thank you.
Final questions? All right, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt that vote?
We have 68, 0 nays.
Awesome, thank you very much, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Curious about the points. That concludes our regular agenda. Moving on to public comment number 2. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this board and any issue? No?
Have a good day.
All right, well, I will close that off. Anyone have any other business or anything they'd like to talk about? No? No one went and saw Barbie Hammer? All right.
You know where I fall with that,
You
right?
saw both?
I saw Oppenheimer, I didn't see Barbie, no, I didn't see Barbie.
Well, on that note, we'll continue our conversation in the parking lot and I will conclude this meeting by adjourning at 10:14 a.m.
Thank you, everybody, have a good